You're listening to the Ask DroneU podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
DroneU.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask DroneU. As always, my name is Paul.
And I'm Rob. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with us. We greatly appreciate it as we prepare for that time of being thankful. We hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving ahead.
While gratitude is so important and we all look forward to Thanksgiving, it's also that Black Friday time frame. We just got a bunch of courses just on the site that are so relevant to many of you. Look, if you're into having fun, if you're here because you love flying drones, but you want to make a little bit more money, you want to scale a little bit more, get every dollar out of the hour that you possibly can. You seriously do not want to miss the Black Friday sale that we have going on today. It's DroneU,
Yes, sir.
Now, what's also important for all of you is many of you have expressed that you want to come to an experience training. We've shortened the training and we're still having a whole lot of fun. We've shortened it because we've taken mapping out of it and we're really focusing on the creative aspect, from Cinewhoop to flying cameras, that's what we all know, but also operating gimbaled cameras, how to set up full frames on the ground for interviews. When you can shoot interviews, amazing slow-mo B-roll, aerials, and fly-throughs, you have the skill set that most production houses don't have, and yet they pay to have it. That's why knowing that information, knowing how to drift through a house in a Cinewhoop, knowing how to set up an interview footage, that way you have the production value that no one else does. Well, if you want to do that and you want to have footage to show your business off, then you can now come to our new DroneU Creative Adventure, happening multiple times next year. But also, we've got numerous classes happening too. Maybe you don't want to commit to a whole week, maybe just 2 days, and you want to get out on the boat where obstacles don't exist and you can get the most practice possible for tracking objects and getting smooth footage in difficult positions. It's having that practice that's hard that makes you the pilot that rises above the rest, that flies above and beyond all the competition. If that's you, DroneU, blackfriday.com. All right, let's hear that funky question.
Hello, Rob and Paul. It's Justin calling from Castleton, Vermont. First, I just want to say thank you very much for everything that you guys do for the drone community. Reason for my call today is, one, I'm actually looking at making a very large investment in a particular drone, more specifically the Matrice 4T. I work for public safety, and my concerns are that anything that's on the shelf right now, given the fact that we're in the situation now with the FCC and the December 23rd deadline, my concern is it going to be justifiably worth the investment to spend that type of money to get the Matrice 4T or any DJI product, given the fact that maybe we could see a year from now that it trickling down where it becomes grounded, or the lack of updates or support or even parts for this particular drone. I just want to know your guys' opinion and what you would possibly recommend in maybe alternative methods or alternative options that we have. Although we know the situation with American drones, although I don't really know all that many, but just looking to see what you guys have for recommendations in this situation. All right. Well, thank you very much and look forward to hearing your guys' response.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate the question. And I assure you, it is a question that thousands, if not millions, probably millions is a little strong, thousands of people have about what to do about purchasing a drone or how to kind of manage their fleet of drones in terms of those kinds of decisions. And there's no black and white answer.
There is inherent risk no matter which way you go.
Yeah.
You know, there's been some talk in the industry about the FCC granted itself authority. I would love to grant myself some authority.
I try.
Yeah. I grant myself authority to not have a bald spot in the back of my head.
Clearly, I lost that one.
Yeah, but the FCC granted themselves authority to retroactively ban any products that are on the covered list, which they're saying that DJI will be on the covered list December 23rd. And a lot of people are saying that you buy a drone now and any new drones won't be coming out past December 23rd. So you'll have very valuable drones as the American industry catches up. I still think that that is the case. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We watched some other videos of people say there's a lot of ifs and coulds of, will the FCC retroactively ban DJI and its licensed affiliates? I think, first of all, I would say don't be so naive on what DC is capable of. As someone who grew up there, anything to protect the ego is a possibility. Anything.
Whose ego?
And it could be party ego. It could be there's layers of that ego onion. But
so we don't have a lot of faith that they'd be doing it for the right reasons.
Oh,
maybe. Well,
I'm not touching that one.
Somebody might. I mean, I think there might be some good intentions in there. I think they just get potentially drowned out sometimes, unfortunately.
I think the macro intention is that there is a national security need to create a domestic supply chain for drone and robotics related parts, muscles, motors, clamps, motors, ESCs, flight controllers, CNC machines for frames. I think there's a lot there, but as you mentioned, Rob, there is inherent risk. The drones that we all have on our shelves could have much more value after the 23rd of December. I'll be honest with you. I think Trump is going to pull a fast one.
And you mean that in a positive sense?
I mean that in an absolutely positive sense.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I memean, if we can get TikTok figured out.
And
maybe.
600K Chinese nationals at
what
colleges.
Is up with that?
Yeah. No, I'm there.
It's not even 6,000.
That's 600,000.
Not 60,000. 600,000.
Yes, it is. I think there's
if we see a Trump Tower pop up in China, I'm gonna be pissed.
Isn't there one going up in Macau right now?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that there is.
But back to Justin's question. I will say this. We continue to buy the DJI drones that we need, either to use or to train, which would be using them. But we have a Matrice 4 Enterprise. We didn't do the thermal.
No.
And we wouldn't.
No.
But I think that are the things that you mention in your question, Justin, in terms of the possibility of firmware upgrades being a problem down the road? Or
I don't see that as a problem personally. I think that's beautiful because how many times, especially you look at the 4E in the last 6 months, 2 of the firmware updates have caused the black screen of death. So it's like, I think we'll be okay without firmware upgrades.
Understood. And of course, I would expect you to have that perspective. I understand it, but just more from a macro perspective as to what Justin's concerned about, i.e. support all encompassing of that drone, parts, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I mean, you're taking a risk. I would say, what's the alternative? And
that's I'm glad you asked that question because let's talk about the alternatives. You have Skydio. You have
Good luck, especially just buying one-off drone. They're not interested in that.
You have Freefly. You have
you get that in June for $40,000.
You have Inspired Flight, which
I don't know anything about that.
I don't either. Supposedly you can get them in 2 weeks, but it's $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's actually something very important that you just said. If you look at, there's probably 5 true American drone companies. And in the top 3, you can't get a drone for the next 8 to 9 months.
And do any of them fly the way the DJI flies?
The Astros do. I love the way the Astro flies.
It does, but it's a different animal.
Yeah,
it's a professional grade. It takes... there's a pucker factor flying that thing.
There, very much so. That is a very real thing. And I think the other issue is while the Freefly Astro does fly like DJI, the user interface is not nearly as user-friendly, etc. I think we're seeing that along the lines. You've got the new Parrot UKR. That's got thermal. That's built for public safety. Haven't flown it yet. There was a reviewer out of Boulder who did a review on it, but he never talked about the thrust to weight ratio, how it felt flying. Because the one thing with parrots is, if it's more than, at least with past parrots, if it's more than a 15-mile-an-hour sustained wind, good luck.
Well, and like you said, we don't know anything about it, but what we can say is that any of the other parrots that have come through, and you've actually done a nice review on the Anafi AI a couple years ago.
It was a major step forward for them.
It was, but when I hear people talk about using those nowadays, they're not real happy.
No, they're not.
And so is that the fate of this particular parrot? Maybe not. I don't know.
And what
we know is DJI works.
Yeah, and no one has gone further in investigating these American drones at the depth that we have, and we've been doing it now for almost 5 years, and we're still in the same position that we're in, which brings up an important point that Rob yelled at me, which I needed to hear, which is how long have we been worrying about this DJI ban and nothing's happened? Is it really worth it? Is it going to thin out the crowd? Are people who are so worth it and they're so upset are not going to do drone jobs anymore? What I would also say is look how many people were flying below the radar before 107 and were just making money just fine. They weren't worried about it one bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot here. And then another question that I have, and I want to ask you this on the air is, okay, let's say it's the worst. It's the nuclear option. They ban DJI. They retroactively ban products, which, yeah, there might be a lot of them. But what if you really can't fly? There's over 50 million drones in this country.
50 million?
Well, I know back in 2018, DJI, and I remember because I wanted to do a story on it. And
there's a lot of them.
And Brendan Schulman wouldn't let me do it. But I was like, let me see your sales numbers because I already know there's a massive bifurcation from the number of drones that are registered and the number of drones that are sold.
Sure.
If you look at the number of dealers that are selling drones and you add up what they say that they're selling, you get to a much larger number.
Yeah.
At that point, they said approximately 8 to 10 million drones, and that was 2018. If DJI has been selling anywhere near that many of drones,
there's millions out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so let's say it's the nuclear option. Are people really going to comply? What's going to be the means of enforcement?
Well, what are they even complying with?
I'm saying if there's a nuclear option of drone ban, meaning the drone ban happens,
and the FCC does their thing,
and they try to retroactively ban the old drones too, how many people comply?
Because in that case, what you're saying is if the FCC were to do that, then flying, it's kind of like using a CB radio without a license or something.
Oh, you mean like the thing that they did in the 70s and no one gave a flying F about?
Yeah, that. That's the point. So, but you're saying that in that scenario, it would be effectively illegal to fly those drones because there's no longer an approved license from the FCC?
That is what they are saying, yeah. I think a lot of people...
No, nobody's going to listen to that.
Yeah.
Because who's going to enforce that? I guarantee the local sheriff, the local police department, they do not care as long as you're not doing nefarious things with those drones.
I think that's what it comes down to. I think that's absolutely what it comes down to. And again, I don't think that's what's going to end up happening.
I don't either.
I think what's going to happen, I'm about to do a big long YouTube video on this, is that I think Trump last minute is going to come in and he's going to say, we're not going to ban DJI or any of its licensed affiliates, which, a lot of people forget about the whole licensed affiliates thing. And what they're going to do is then slap a massive tariff on DJI to still support all the American companies that are trying to build up. I mean, look how much money they're throwing at this. But in the way that the government is throwing money at this, we're never going to compete or succeed. I mean, we just saw a couple of federal contracts come down and all the stipulations. It's like, so this is not based on merit at all. This is based on nepotism. And if that's the case, we are never going to win against China. Like, there's no way. We have got to have true competitive capitalism for this to work. So I think Trump comes in, he says, okay, DJI can stay. It's going to be 155% tariff on them to still support domestic production.
So buy them now. If you're going to buy them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do, but we buy them.
Yeah, and I was actually hoping you were going to say that because I was going to be like, can you mention how we have a Mavic 4 Pro, we have a Mini 5 Pro, I am going to
have a Matrice 4 Enterprise.
I'm going to advocate that we buy another Avata 2.
We've got a couple of those that we use a lot.
Yeah, we have this one and then the one that I keep in my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Avata 360 comes out before the ban because what that could do for mapping is off the charts. Everyone's thinking about like all the creative video ideas. And actually, Brandon deserves credit for this. Brandon's like, yeah, but Gaussian splats do so well with 360 imagery. And he goes, think about QPix, right? He goes, we did the big thing on QPix and how constructions are automating the interpretation process of construction data with things like QPix. What does QPix run off of? Drone data and 360 cameras. He goes, well, to walk through a construction site could be an hour or two, but to fly a 360 camera through it would be like 5-10 minutes.
Can you even imagine the things you could
Dude,
do with that?
I'm excited for that. That's the one thing that I'm really stoked on. I'm like, wait a minute, I get to do fly-throughs and mapping? I'm like, okay, king of the crop here.
Yeah, seriously, it'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, while everything that you mention is a legitimate concern and something to think about, Justin, I would say that if I were in your shoes, and yes, it's a lot of money, it could become even more money if this scenario plays out that Paul just painted. It's a big fat if. It's definitely speculation as a possibility, but I guess in some ways that could be best case at this point. You're probably going to wish that you had bought one now. Oh, and again, what's the alternative? I guess you could just not use drones, or you could go buy an inspired flight. Or how much are the Whispers? Those are...
I don't know.
We don't know anything about the Whispers either.
No, and I think, yeah.
Anyways, there's some things about those that we probably need to learn. But again, back to Skydio, it doesn't seem like it's for this particular application. And obviously for public safety it is, but for just like a one-off drone. And then on the free fly side, phenomenal drones, obviously, but very, very expensive, and getting one anytime soon is probably not likely.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is Orca? Like, where is FreeFly building a smaller consumer drone? Like, where are all these companies?
Where indeed? We're certainly not hearing any rumblings of any of those, are we?
No. And I was really excited at one point for one of those companies.
Yeah.
And it's just gone dead.
Absolutely.
So
probably, I would guess it's supply chain. I would imagine that there's probably a desire to produce those,
and I think that's why this whole drone ban thing has become such a drama piece in the industry, is that you have supply side economics working in the background that no one sees, no one hears about, few people understand, and yet it's driving the bus on this whole, ban. So. Again, there's inherent risk. We're taking some risk. We'll find out what happens. I mean, we have a lot at risk here. And I think we're also the realists talking about this. All the other podcasts and whatnot are like, it's not going to happen. Don't worry. It's like, well, it could very well happen. It's just about how does it happen? Something is going to happen December 23rd. It's just what is going to happen. And maybe it's one of those things that, gets swept under the rug. What if, 2028 comes around or midterms come around, Republicans lose hardcore and they start pulling some of the stuff back because they realize that, maybe we've been too conservative on this stuff. What happens with the next presidential election? They're like, we killed the aviation industry. We killed technology. We need to bring that back. Who knows? I mean, all I will say is that at some point you have to make a decision. Do you make decisions out of fear or do you make decisions out of faith? And this is a hard question. It may seem like it's easy, but I've been having to ask myself this question a lot about a lot of different things in life. And ultimately, you have a decision to make, faith or fear. So I think that's what this comes down to. There's a lot that we don't know. I think if I were a betting man, I would bet that the retroactive ban does not happen. I think we could see lots of lawsuits about the FCC giving themselves unprecedented authority. Who knows what steps in. I think DJI could also have a massive opportunity in correcting this entire thing. They're chasing industry trends, but I think what they should be chasing is a drone that cannot and will not ever have security issues. I mean, build a Mavic 3 that does not need internet connectivity to activate. It never talks to the internet ever, period. There's no firmware upgrades. And it does not have a 4G dongle or cellular service at all. Period. End of story. So if they did that and they said, security test this thing, yes, it would pass. There's a reason they keep going forward, even though there have been security tests. And I saw an article on DroneXL, which I really struggled to understand, because they said there have been no investigations. There's no agency driving the bus for the investigation or the audit or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, where have you guys been? Like last month, the Section 232 investigation started with DHS. Like, I'm not sure I understand. Maybe I could be totally missing something. Aya, come on the show. Let's have a conversation. But it's my understanding that the investigation started and stopped and has findings. I think gaslighting people in this industry is only making it worse. And I'll be honest, I mean, a lot of people love to fly. Your ability to have drones, maybe we're like Cuba and our drones are going to be like old Chevy cars that are just going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know.
That's funny.
I don't know.
So I looked up, I don't know how many of you out there know what Polymarket is.
I love Polymarket.
But I looked up drone ban, doesn't even come up.
That's hilarious.
I was hoping to give like a percentage of what Polymarket says.
But do you know what?
Not even on there.
That actually scares me. And the reason that scares me is because this issue is not big enough for the president to really care enough. That's what scares me. And when I see DJI pushing drone advocacy or alliance or whatever, when there were multiple letters last year that went to Congress asking to investigate them, I'm like, that's not helping either. We need a truly objective third party. I don't know. Sitting on the sidelines on this one is difficult because people love flying DJI and DJI is the best drone. The sad reality is the American market is not there, and it probably won't be there for years to come. We've got some heavy hitters in this industry, but it's not even close. You know, Unusual Machines is building out a plant in Orlando to produce motors and ESCs. Bobby Sakaki just created a marketplace for NDAA-approved parts, but it's like, well, there's only so much you can add to that right now. We are years behind. We are handicapping ourselves, and yet we're the tech hub of the world. Get the out of here. No, we're not.
Beep.
Like, yeah,
oh wait,
sorry.
I think I was late on that.
Yeah, we need to be real with ourselves. Like, you know, DJI did have the two hacking programs, Sentinel and Supervisor. I got banned from Reddit, like showing the proof of that. And I mean, you can go on GitHub and download it and show it. And it's just like, but we can move on from this. Like, there's a problem. We can fix it and move on. We don't. A lot
of people said it's already been fixed. That it's already not really an issue anymore.
I think the whole document
and hasn't been for years.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm not sure I could agree with that. So yeah, I mean, look at the Sky Rover proved that 2 months ago there's still an issue because Sky Rover was talking back to a CCP server in China. So that's kind of negated right there. You look at also what happened. What was it? The Norwegian buses where they were down in the caves and they were still connecting to a Chinese server.
Yes, but that's not a DJI drone.
No, but that's a Chinese dead man switch. And that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Dead man switches or remote activation. If you can remotely activate these drones, which they proved a very significant issue on the DJI docks, that's a security problem, you know? And again, we can solve all these problems. It's baffling.
And right now I'm reading a book by Joel Rosenberg about China-American relationships. It's a novel, but it's very well researched. And anyways, if you don't know Joel Rosenberg, he's fun to read. It's pretty interesting.
Well, give us the interesting part.
Read it.
No. Come on.
China's not our friend. Put it that way.
Well, duh. I mean, duh. China's no one's friend. That's the hard part. So...
that's what I'll give you.
I want to use Webull because it's way better than Schwab, but I'm not going to use it because I don't want my money to disappear. So, I mean, like, you know, look at how Chinese day trade too. I mean, look at some of the tickers. I think if you want to see some of the strategies behind this, there are literally Chinese stocks listed on the NASDAQ, or not the NASDAQ, the NYSE, that say that their float is sub 1 million shares. But then you've got these Chinese stocks trading 100 million shares in a day. And it's like, if you only have less than 1 million shares, how are 100 million shares changing hands every day? That, like, it's statistically impossible. So, I mean, like, the market dynamics will always be skewed in their benefit. America has made its economic name for not skewing things in its benefit. And now we are skewing things in our benefit because things are being skewed away from our benefit.
Because things are skewy?
And this is the prisoner's dilemma. This is the prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah, we just went around in circles.
No. Like, if you know the prisoner's dilemma, you know exactly what I'm saying, which is prisoner one can safely escape out of the prison if he fully cooperates with prisoner number 2. But prisoner number 2 is his arch enemy. And prisoner number 2 essentially can't win unless he fully cooperates with prisoner number 1. But because they can never cooperate, they never escape prison. Prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not even sure I did a good job of succinctly explaining that.
No, I think that's very clear.
So,
but you're saying like U.S. is prisoner 1 and China's prisoner 2?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. We're going to be stuck in prison.
I know. And then this is going to hit a climax at some point, and there's going to be...
That's what the book I'm talking about talks about.
Uh-oh. On that bombshell. Well, hey, look, everyone. We still believe in this industry. We still believe in cooler heads prevailing. Whether that happens or not is completely outside of our control. But we do have faith that this industry moves on because ultimately the efficiency gains from drones are going to drive the industry forward. That's why people like Skydio, people like Inspired Flight, people like Free Fly Systems are succeeding. And they're succeeding because they're selling more drones than they're capable of producing. That's a very bullish sign for America. But I know for many of you, that leaves you holding the bag. All that to be said, I think it's worth the risk to go out there and buy drones. It is important to know that after December 2023, you cannot go to another country and bring a drone in, like when you fly, etc., because it will be illegal. Like that, there will be like significant fines and whatnot if you're caught doing that. Right now, you can do it.
It's called the Beijing Betrayal. If you're interested. Good writer.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So, man, that was a long-winded answer to...
There's a lot to consider.
There is a lot to consider.
There's a lot to consider.
That's true.
That's why we have this show, because you can't get the right answers on AI, but you can from experience. So if you want to learn from experienced people, you know exactly where to go. It's right here. And AI can't always give you the right answers or deep answers. That's why you ask questions. That's why you go to askdroneu.com. And if you want questions that are going to have legitimate answers driven from experience, real world field knowledge, and not just hypothetical, theoretical bullshit like you can get from any American university, then you know exactly where to go to get that experience-based information. It's right here. It's Ask DroneU.